Welcome back to the news at 10. Let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Ibrahim Adra. Ibrahim.
Hello, Ijoma. Let's begin with the expressed need to galvanize member countries of the D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation towards achieving the first 4 Sustainable Development Goals in the shortest possible time has been emphasized by the Nigerian representative to the organization. The Director of International Organization Division of the Foreign Affairs, Mr. Oluremi Oluyide, who spoke on behalf of Nigeria at the inaugural meeting of the Organization on Health and Social Protection Program, says the meeting is a milestone as health and social development programs are critical to achieving sustainable development goals.
Members of the D8 Economic Organization, including Bangladesh, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Malaysia, Pakistan, Turkey and Nigeria, at the inaugural consultation meeting on health and social protection programs. Although the D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation has been in existence since 1997 and is said to have made significant progress in sectors such as trade, agriculture, energy, transportation and industrial cooperation, it has only just commenced consultations for health and social protection programs. A move the organization says is critical towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
It's anticipated that the effective implementation of our health and social protection agenda will realize huge economic benefits running into several billions of dollars and place our member countries on a clear path of attainment of Sustainable Development Goals before the target date of 2030.
When implemented as conceived, the program should enable us to reach out to the vulnerable and the less privileged in our communities, especially the elderly, the women, the sick, the disabled, and those in dire need of health care and social protection.
The director of the International Organization Division of the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Nigeria, however, feels that there is the need for a strong political will on the part of member states to drive the needed change.
I am mindful of the fact that the long-term willingness, commitment, and capability of our respective governments are critical success factors. They should therefore be deployed. This translates to sustainable financing, among other inputs and resources, of the health and social protection program in our respective countries.
It is expected that the decisions at this meeting will achieve the desired change in the health, demographics, and economies of member countries.
Let's put our hands together once again.
In Nigeria, about 150,000 babies are born every year with sickle cell disorder, an inherited blood disease with the potential to kill the child before their 5th birthday. Experts say, however, that early detection and management, as well as bone marrow transplant, can give these children a long, healthy life. Our correspondent Mary Alali Yusuf reports.
Blood transports oxygen around the body. In sickle cell disorder, blood cells develop abnormally, assuming the shape of a sickle. These cells are unable to carry enough oxygen and may also block blood vessels. About 40% of the population are carriers of the sickle cell trait, which means they don't have the disease. But when 2 carriers get married, they have a 1 in 4 chance of giving birth to a child with the disorder, which comes with different manifestations such as pain, leg ulcers, and stroke.
An easy, simple intervention is making sure every child is properly diagnosed and you prevent, and everybody who has the severe disease can be exposed to hydroxyurea therapy.
There's a special ultrasound scan called the transcranial Doppler. So the transcranial Doppler enables us to view the blood vessels in the brain and tells us the ones that are at risk of having a stroke. So then we can prevent it.
The most permanent cure for sickle cell disease, bone marrow transplant, has had great results, especially in children. When the Mohammed family found out that their first son had sickle cell disorder, they resolved to get a transplant.
It was the younger sister that donated the bone marrow for him. And thank God,
It was successful.
Although he was only 8 years old at the time of the transplant, Mohammed knows the difference.
I would have chest pains, leg pains, different body pains, but now I hardly see pain except from small injuries.
So do his parents.
And unlike those days that sometimes maybe if there's a change in weather, we'll say, okay, stay back, all those things. Apart from that, academically, he's still doing very well.
After the procedure, little Mohammed had to take all his childhood immunizations again. The changes in his body had wiped all traces of the old vaccinations. Now 13, Mohammed is just like any other child, and his genotype reads AS. But in his DNA is the SS gene, a fact he must consider in the future if he plans to marry and have children. The family traveled to Rome because the procedure could not be performed in Nigeria. But now there's hope that in the near future, Nigerians will not have to travel for a transplant.
The unit is ready. We're trying to develop a donor registry. Medications are being procured. One of the protocols is that you will use total body irradiation for the recipient. As if everything was working for the program, the federal government just installed the new center in Luth.
Not everybody gets a match. Still, prevention and timely treatment of illnesses are the most widely acceptable methods which can cater for most people living with the disorder and see them living to a ripe old age. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
Many thanks indeed, Mary. Now, governors from across the 36 states are holding their first official meeting in the nation's capital, Abuja. The governors started arriving at the venue of their meeting one after the other, and the turnout so far suggests that serious issues of national interest could be on the agenda. The governors are expected to discuss, among other issues, the feedback from their meeting with President Buhari on security, as well as a review of the National Economic Council meeting agenda. At least more than 20 governors from both the ruling All Progressive Congress and the People's Democratic Party are already at the venue of that meeting. And that will be all from Abuja. We return to our Lagos studio, where Anne is standing by to take us through some business stories. Anne.
You First. First Bank.
Thank you, Ibrahim, and welcome to Business News. The Director General of the Debt Management Office, Mrs. Patience Oniha, says Nigeria has no plan to float dollar-denominated sukuk instruments this year, but the country will continue to approach the local market for infrastructure funding via the sukuk bond market. According to Mrs. Oniha, the country's debt strategy for $2.7 billion deficit in 2019 appropriations was to focus more on bilateral loans and less on Eurobond offerings. The DMO chief says that Nigeria said no to some bilateral loan offers due to unrealistic macroeconomic and monetary policy conditions attached by the lenders. Moody's ratings agency has seen a stable outlook for Nigeria's banking sector, reflecting resilient capital buffers and stable deposit bases. The ratings agency, in its latest report, expects non-performing loans to decline between 7% and 8% in the next 12 to 18 months, from 11.7%, which was recorded at the end of last year. Moody's warns that higher oil prices will constrain new non-performing loans formation, while high loan loss reserves will allow banks to write off some of their bad debts. The central bank has reacted to some media reports that the financial regulator's live support to federal government rose by 780% to 8.12 trillion naira in 4 years. According to a statement released today by the CBN, it explains that contrary to that media report, resulting net positions indicate that the federal government was actually the net creditor to CBN to the tune of 2.14 trillion naira, 1.65 trillion naira and 0.36 trillion naira in 2014, in 2015 and in 2017. On the other hand, the Apex Bank was the net creditor to the government to the tune of 0.11 trillion naira and 0.34 trillion naira each in 2016 and in 2018. The CBN has described that report as untrue and an attempt to misinterpret and misrepresent its financial operations, and reassures the general public of its commitment to remain faithful to its statutory mandate as banker and financial advisor to to the federal government. Let's go to the domestic stock market now and find out how midweek trading ended. It is still in the red, and it continued with profit taking in large cap stocks. As Forte Oil's chairman Femi Otedala completes the sale of his 75% shareholding in indigenous energy company. Let's get details from Ekaite Afia.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. It appears the bears are maintaining a stronghold at the domestic market as profit-taking extends further into the midweek session, with the all-share index down 0.15%, while total market value dropped an additional 21 billion naira. Just like in previous sessions, 4 out of the 5 sectors we track closed the day negative, with industrial goods shedding the most, down by 0.83%. On the flip side, the banking counter closed the day up 1.34%. Looking at the activity chart, we see that 1.23 billion shares worth over 67.89 billion naira were exchanged in over 3,000 deals. Forte Oil holds the top spot on the gainers as well as the top trades list, following reports of approval of a 64.9 billion naira divestment deal by the NSE to the oil trader's major shareholder and chairman, Femi Otedala. On the other hand, Presco and Prestige Assurance led a pack of 21 losers, down by 9.09% apiece. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Ekaite Afia.
Thank you, Ekaite. Stocks in Wall Street have closed higher over an hour ago, soaring higher than the U.S. Federal Reserve's votes to keep its interest rate unchanged, and it even hints of more loss in monetary policy in 2020. Meanwhile, it's mixed performance for its counterparts around the globe. And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwaudu. It's back to you, Gemma.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks a lot. And still ahead on the news at 10, coming from our London bureaus around the world in 5. Please stay with us.